Legends, welcome back to another episode of the Ruck Infringement Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Joey, and this is another special interview. This week, we are joined by not only a former player, but a current NRLW coach, Ben Jefferies. Ben, how are you, mate?
Good mate, yourself?
Mate, I am great. A pleasure to have you on. For those that don't know who you are, take us through your name, something about you, who you played for, and who you coach now.
Yep. So Ben Jefferies was born and bred in Boston, New South Wales, North Coast there, up near Newcastle. Played for St George, West Tigers, Wakefield, and Bradford, all through the NRL and Super League program systems, and then now coach NRLW Cowboys.
Yeah, beautiful. We love it, mate. Women's game, it's going really strong. First question we're going to get into, we do this for everyone. Who
Yep.
is either the funniest teammate you played with or the funniest uh, player that you've coached?
Yeah, that's a tough one to be honest. Yeah. Oh, look, every team you play with or you're amongst, there's always characters, and obviously some are louder than others, and some
Yeah,
like playing practical jokes, things like that. I suppose I can give you two sides of the coin. I think if I was going at the moment in the female space where I'm coaching in, I suppose, other pathways, uh, a player or an ex-player called Meg Ward. She's a bit of a prankster. She likes hiding around the corners and scaring the shit out of people every now and then in the path in camp. So she's pretty good at that and recording it, and chucking it up on WhatsApp and these spaces. But I suppose when I was in England, there was a bloke called Wayne Godwin who played for Cass, Bradford, and Salford, I think. Mate, he was a character, and loved the beer, but loved training hard as well. And he had a party trick. So every time there was a wedding or something like that, he'd drop the Dax, and
oh.
yeah. So this is a bit of an X-rated version, but yeah, mate, he was a character and a half. So some fond memories with Wayne Goblin.
Mate, they're the stories we love to hear. The next one we got is who was the strangest teammate or player you've coached? And often this goes hand in hand with the funniest, but who was the strangest for you?
Oh, I must admit, that's even tougher, that one. The
Yeah,
strangest
yeah.
one. I'm not. I Well, well, this bloke I play with in England a lot of my career with, and Michael Korkitis.
Yeah.
He I wouldn't say it's the strangest thing, but like as he got older, he used to give shit to a lot of the younger ones, and I think it was a bit of a thing trying to protect his spot, and he used to give shit to the younger ones and make it really hard for them coming through, which is probably part of their apprenticeship. And he wouldn't realise what he was doing to blokes, and go, mate, do you realise you're just fucking giving the elbows on the to these young blokes and giving them stick and things like that? He goes, mate, I don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah. Just
so
part of his game.
part of his game. He was one of these guys. Once he crossed the white line, just flicked a switch, and he had this um, understanding of being that competitive. He just wouldn't let anyone get over the top of him. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's the strangest bloke, but yeah, he's just
Yeah,
he didn't believe a thing what we were telling him at times.
I love it, mate. Mate, what was the weirdest pre-game ritual or superstition that you have or that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm really big on pre-game. Everyone has their own pre-game, and make sure
Yep.
once they have it, like when you're in a professional game, it's you got to stick to it religiously. It's part of your routine. So
Mm.
it's probably not the strangest one, but I used to go in the zone basically once I found my routine. I'd probably, if I was playing Saturday, for example, I'd go Thursday, Friday, I'd eat certain foods. So
Yep.
basically, some pasta and chicken or schnitzel or something like that. I was one of them guys, so I had a pre-game ritual around that. I wasn't one of these guys around superstitions, as in had to put my left boot
Yeah.
on first or all that sort of thing. So that didn't bother me. But I must admit, once I've got once I got older, I tend to relax more. I wish I'd probably relaxed a lot more knowing what I know now. It's the work you do during the week that helps you prepare for games.
Yeah, of course, mate. There's been some weird ones out there that I've heard so far, but let's jump into the next one. What was the favorite game that you've coached in?
Um, yeah, look, um, probably there's probably two that really stick out in mind. Like, so I suppose um, people don't understand the work I've done in the female space in North Queensland. It's taken
Mm,
so long to get this pathway up and running, and I'm not the sole person, but I'm very fortunate enough to be at the forefront of this pathway. So to coach in the inaugural and be the inaugural Cowboys NRLW coach, like that's a huge honour and a privilege,
oh,
and something
massive.
I'm so grateful for.
Yep.
Um, and then when I reflect back to, I suppose, um, the World Cup in PNG with PNG, like that's a developing country, and they've come from nothing,
Yeah.
especially from 2017. And the second game where we beat Brazil, and some players didn't have an idea. They just made the semi-finals of the World Cup. Like they'd never won a game prior to that, then made the World Cup semi-finals. So that's huge for that country and what it did for females in that country.
Mm,
And then, um, and I suppose just being involved with the All Star space as well is a privilege too, mate. So the first time I coached in the All Star space where we regained the title, that was pretty special as well. Like some of those players now, they've gone on to be 4 or 5 year veterans in that space. Like we have a strong bond in that arena. So they're all special, mate. It's just yeah, some are higher than others, but
of
it's a
course.
privilege to be involved in all of them. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Now, take us through what you do in the NRLW for those that may not follow or don't really know what it's about. Tell us what you do, and yeah, just give it a plug for us.
So this with my NRLW job completely different to another club.
Yep.
So my role at the club is to basically recruit, retain, identify, coach, manage a $1 million salary cap,
Yeah.
and then obviously that get bigger and bigger. So I have the privilege of doing that. It's a massive job where I suppose in the male version, there's a recruitment manager and
Mm,
then there's a head coach. I'm basically both in one. So it's a really diverse job. I really enjoy it. I've literally just got off the phone to a couple of managers trying to
wow.
talk about play interest and things like that. So it's really made me a better all-rounded person, I suppose, and that's the challenge why I chose to move out of the male game and move into the
Yep.
female game. I was going to become this more diverse and more rounded person.
Yeah, nice. And are you enjoying the international coaching? That's got to be something completely different.
I absolutely love it. So that's made me a better coach and a better person
Yeah,
first and
great.
foremost. And obviously, I've got a daughter
Yep.
as well, and to empower young females when they live in a country supposedly probably get treated like second class citizens without being
Mm,
disrespectful to that developing country, but that's the perception at times.
yep.
Uh, yeah, and it's like we've had 2 years and 2 years with this group, the core group, and they have come so far. Like when we got them, they had no values
Yep.
inside that group, so they had no accountability. And this, when I say no accountability, I believe they were allowed to not run right, but you know they were accountable to turn up on time for training, things like that.
Wow.
People don't know this and beyond the scenes. So the game one leading to the first Canada in the World Cup, we had 3 players turn up late for training, senior players, and we both said this was the line, you've crossed it, you won't play this game. So and they were senior players, but what happened was the young ones come in behind them and took their spot. So
Mm,
that's what we've
mm,
been trying to create in that space. And then, yeah, but learning different culture too, 100%, like understanding their culture, obviously learning a new language. They talk Tok Pisin opposed to English. So We've had some really good P&G personnel within that staffing as well, and that's part of our, I suppose, role to upskill that personnel too. So it's been a really good 2 years journey, even though we don't only get to the back end of years, but it's been a really good journey so far.
Yeah, mate. Well, you're a credit to the women's game and the international game as well. We thank you for what you're doing. The next question we got is, did you have a footy nickname?
Yeah, basically it was my initials, BJ.
Yeah, nice, nice.
But pretty simple there, mate. There is a story. There is a story going. If you're talking to Wakefield players, there was a bit of a thing around going. I was the Spider-Man, meaning they reckon I wouldn't pass. But anyone tells you any different, a bloke called Semi Tajalala is the original Spider-Man. So
I love it, mate. That's a good one. And who was your footy idol?
Peter Sterling.
Oh,
I
yeah, love it.
I was blue and gold
Yep,
all the way through until I hit my teens. And
yeah,
then I come through the Knights pathway, and then obviously, as most do, idolise Andrew Johns,
yeah, of course.
and then yeah. So those two played a significant role in, I suppose, my childhood, watching them play, trying to go out in the backyard and simulate what they did, and
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah, I love it, mate. Now, if you could change one rule in the NRL or the NRLW, what would it be?
I actually gave some feedback to the NRL around this the other day around the maybe not having the 10 minutes sin bin, maybe the
Yeah,
5 minutes
nice,
sin bin.
nice.
I think having one person, how fast the game is now, I think
Mm,
having one person off the field for 5 minutes is justifiable enough. I think
yeah,
they can get enough advantage of that. So, um, and maybe if they lose someone critically injured in the first 15 minutes, for example, maybe you'd be able to activate the 18th player as well. Obviously, that's up to the powers that be, but
yeah,
yeah, those
yeah.
two everything comes to mind.
I really like it, mate. The 5 minute sin bin, that's been talked about a lot. Few coaches, few former players that I've spoken to as well have definitely been big fans. So hopefully we see a bit of that in 2024. Mate, a lot was made of the 2023 season in the men's and the women's. What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, you always enjoy it. Like I said, it's always a privilege to be in this
Yep.
space. Obviously, males they probably just fell short. Probably the most significant game of memory probably was the Gold Coast game where Gold Coast beat
Mm,
Cowboys at Gold Coast back end of the season, which probably cost them.
yeah.
Um, and with the NRLW season, like after 4 games, we were sitting 2 from 4, which we were happy with.
Yeah.
And then we sort of fell away there. So the inexperience and then the injury toll that came with that as well, we just sort of fell behind. And there's a lot of learnings that come out of that. And we had I suppose, inexperienced squad. And this is
Yeah.
something we've spoken about to the group directly, but it's not going to be an excuse for us. We don't make excuses at this club. It's how do we be better and how do we combat that sort of stuff? And um, the players have got to take some ownership on that, and that's with us as coaches as well. So we'll be looking to go better, obviously next year. Unless you win the comp, you got to be better.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
how it works in the elite pathway. But I'm sure they'll be much better for it. And one thing we're really happy with is that the pathway's been generated now.
Yeah.
To I think we I think we had to relocate 20 something players and 19 have resided here. So that's saying that we've created an environment where they want to be here, want to learn, want to compete, and things like that, and
Mm,
want to be a cowboy. So that's something we are happy with. So it's just about adding some quality players in. What we've done recently is Chicago Whitfield.
yeah.
She'll come to the club next year and certainly put some quality into our backline.
Yeah,
And,
definitely. Definitely.
and that's about building this program up and then obviously generating some more NQ talent, which we know we're going to bring into the development space. I can't release it now, but one young lady agreed
Course.
to terms last night, which is really good. So
Yeah,
it's part and parcel of how this pathway works as well.
that's great, mate. I absolutely love it. Well, the next question was leading into that for next year was, what are you looking forward to for 2024?
Oh, look, I think like being able to play coach females with players that have got international experience, like that's really good. So Jakaya,
Yeah.
something we're proud of that. I suppose Emma Menzelman has turned into an international now, and she'll
Mm,
come back more motivated personnel as well. And I honestly love coaching young players that get their opportunity and flourish on the big stage. So
yeah.
we had two young girls here this year, really good examples for the development players and rookies that come through our club now. In Libby Sewer and Lily Peacock, both went for the under-19s origin space, but they came here with no expectation of themselves, without any pressure from us, about learning everything about day-to-day life, doing employing their craft and things like that. They end up making their NRLW debuts
Yeah,
purely
that's
through
awesome.
injuries and that, but they were ready for it. So
Yeah,
because they did the work prior to it, they were ready for it, and they played well on the scene. So they've basically earned their spot next year, and they've got other players that are coming in behind. We've got to try and take it now.
that's great, mate. Now, before we finish off, give us the early prediction. Can your Cowgirls go all the way next year?
Cowboys girls, certainly got the talent for it, mate. It's whether we,
Beautiful.
one, you got to stay fit and healthy.
Yep,
Two, you got to be consistent in everything you do. And I think the learnings we come from this year and moving into next year, hopefully they learn from what's transpired, and
yep,
they're better people and better players for it going forward.
absolutely. Well, Ben, we want to thank you for your time today. It's been an awesome chat. Don't forget, you can find us at the Ruck Infringement Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. You know what they are, a lot of them. You can check us out on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads if you're on it, X as well, LinkedIn if you're a professional. Jump on those, check us out. This will drop sometime next week, which will be great. Thank you again, Ben, and that is it for tonight.
Thanks, mate. Pleasure.